Thank you very much for joining with us this evening. This is Go Your Own Way. In 2018, I decided I wasn't going to work for anyone else. After over a decade in the design industry, I was done with employment. So to that point, I'd been working in startups and corporate businesses, all kinds. And there's been some really, really toxic scenarios. And I was done. I was burned out on bad vibes. I was done with the doubt and butting heads with people. It was really clear that if I wanted to stay in the design industry, I had to do something for myself. Now, I really didn't know what shape it was going to take, although I kept telling myself that I'd seen enough of what not to do, so I should know what I should be doing, right? The only thing that I knew for sure is that I had to start something before I bowed out and before I felt like I'd made my difference. Making these changes are something that you can do for yourself too. So I'm hoping that by sharing some of the learning that I've done over the course of my career, it might help you to transform some of the stuff that you do. Unlock some hidden potentials that might help you get on the path to going your own way. Now, it took me a long time to realise that my success at work and in life really was likely related to my health, my physical fitness, my mental well-being, and the health of my social structure as well. It's really important that you can learn your own rhythms and practice a little self-care, kind of not only when you really need it, but when you can feel the weight of everything just kind of getting onto your shoulders. It might sound a little bit trite, but if you look after yourself, you look after your mind, and you look after your body, everything else tends to fall into place, or it can at least become a little bit easier to manage. Now, working in the creative space, it can be a pretty sedentary existence. You know, we have long days, we're glued to the computer, we're sat in less than ideal positions, in not very good chairs, snacking at the desk, except for maybe the odd bathroom break, and it's just not good for our bodies. And I know how we go. We say, I got into the flow and I forgot to move. Hours can whiz past when we're really in the zone. However, when we're doing this for days on end, we're in the zone without regular movement or even a bit of exercise, it can become seriously detrimental to what we're doing. So you have to keep moving. Now, I've made exercise a part of my routine. Things like making sure I get up and walk to the kitchen rather than keeping all the drinks on my desk. Going for a walk when I'm due a decent break. Even getting up half an hour earlier and just going for a quick jog around the block. I can really recommend getting outside of your working space, preferably outside into the fresh air. Don't just sit and browse a subreddit, as a distraction from the thing you're working on, because, get yourself away from your desk. Give yourself the physical space, and if nothing else, it'll let your muscles stretch out a little and reset from the kind of desk hunch that comes with this kind of unconscious comfort that we get into when we're in the zone. It's good for your body, but it'll go a really long way to clearing your head and making some mental space, which is definitely something that we all need from time to time. Looking after our mental health is arguably more important than looking after our bodies, although they're definitely both interlinked. The benefits of exercise on mental well-being have been documented time and time again. Anyone who knows me knows that I don't hide the fact that I struggle to maintain my mental health, the mental fortitude, if you will. It's a balancing act, and it's often in a pretty fragile state of flux. There have been some pretty dark spots in my life, and after a very long time, I understand that many of them may have been triggered and fueled by my relationship with work and how I was kind of approaching my professional life. I know that a lot of people around the world have felt this and do feel this. And the turning point for me here was to acknowledge that I was really having problems. I was struggling and I needed some help. And honestly, it wasn't until the departure from the last startup that I was at that I really realized how far down in a hole I really was. If you take nothing else away from this talk, I want it to be that it is okay to say that you're not okay. Don't sit on that feeling and just hope it will get better. Don't tell yourself that you're being a burden to other people just because you're not feeling in a good place today. You can say that you're not doing okay, and that is fine. There will always be someone to talk to. There will always be someone to listen. If it's a friend, family member, go to the doctor. You can talk about it. There's nothing wrong with it. One thing that affected my mental health quite a lot, and I want to touch on it very quickly, is the concept of failure. Failure sucks. It can really sting our ego, and it makes us doubt the abilities that we have, regardless of what we've achieved in the past. At best, it might make us feel like we've got a really hard road ahead of us, and at worst, it can make us feel like we can't do anything better and we need to get out of the situation right now. But here's a really important thing. Everybody fails. The greatest creative people in history have failed. Inventor James Dyson went 15 years into his career before he was truly successful. Failure after failure of his, iconic design. The author Stephen King, his novel Carrie was rejected 30 times before it got published. Designer Vera Wang, she didn't make the grade in her figure skating career. She didn't, get promoted up to the editor of Vogue magazine. But she entered the fashion industry aged 40, and she is now one of the highest regarded designers of modern times. Remember that everyone fails more than they succeed, okay? I understand that hearing this and knowing it makes it no less easy to manage, but it is true. What we do with failure is what matters, okay? It is not an ending, but a beginning. It's an opportunity for us to learn and to prepare and to take steps to whatever the next great successful thing we do is. So there's a few things that I kind of try and hang on to when I've failed. When you're dusting yourself off when something doesn't go your way, just remember the value that you're bringing to the table. Because it didn't work this time, it does not mean that it never works. Try to avoid stacking up those negative thoughts and descending into a bit of a spiral of negative thinking. Think about someone else too. You're not pointing the finger or blaming someone else because something didn't work. You're putting yourself in their shoes. How did they perceive you? How did they perceive the thing that you were offering? Value is 100% subjective. Okay, it's 100% subjective. What one person perceives as high value, someone else will see as just an expense that they don't want to incur. Put yourself in a position where you can do what you know is valuable. For the people, there'll be people who really get it and they want that. Learn from the mistakes, your mistakes and other people's mistakes, just to make sure you're not repeating the same thing over and over and over again. Get yourself up, get out into the world again, and get ready to do better stuff the next time around. Somebody great once said to me that it takes a village to achieve great things. Now, as easy as it might feel to try and approach your life and tackle problems head on alone, especially when you're forging ahead and going your own way, don't forget the people that are around you. It's these people whose company that you enjoy and who you want to enjoy your company. These are the people who want to help you when you need it the most. Building and nurturing kind of a support network, both personally and professionally, can be the safety net that you need when motivation is lacking, when you are doubting your worth, or when you just need a sounding board. There are people there to do that for you. Schedule time to look after yourself and to nurture this tribe of people, your network. Don't grind yourself down for hours in front of a screen. Take a walk, get outside, let your mind wander, disconnect for a while, socialize. Find value in all the kind of the idle stuff, the things that you can do for yourself and your health. Because once you're in tune with this rhythm, you can really start to piece together a map for your own territory. As knowledgeable, experienced professionals, we've all got superpowers. I'm a massive Marvel fan, but I don't profess to be like Iron Man or anything. I'm not Thor, I'm not Captain America, but we all have superpowers. We've all got the tools at our disposal to do our best work. It's all stashed in our heads, and it's ready to be unleashed to save the day. But, having superpowers is probably not much fun if you can't share them with people. So being able to use this knowledge and experience to help other people get better it will require you to jump into being like the expert, because who really wants to share bad insight or bad information? And it will give you the opportunity to refine the things that you think about and to grow as a person too. Your experience can become one of your greatest assets. I ask this question of anyone who will listen: is how do you leverage the adjacent experience that you've gained throughout your years? Just because you've changed jobs or you've changed career paths multiple times since entering the workforce does not mean that your past efforts are for nothing. You've got stories to tell, you've amassed stuff. You've got anecdotal information that could become useful at some point or another. You've got people skills or facilitation experience, or maybe you've organized annual conferences for 500 plus delegates. What I'm saying is you've got a toolkit at your disposal. If you're coming into a new career or you're shifting tracks, don't let what you've learned go at the front door. These other experience areas can keep you going while you learn your new craft. Put in the effort to show value in the areas that you do know about and can learn quickly in the areas that you aren't as strong. Something that I learned quite early on when I was starting out my own business was this point from very sweary Gary Vaynerchuk. He's a social media guy. He's built his business from nothing, and his story is impressive, even if you don't quite like his manner. Gary says that to give real value to people, share the journey that you're on, not just the outcomes that you've achieved, because realistically, outcomes have no value if you cannot understand where they've come from. You can do this for people by sharing your experience. So like experience, knowledge can be qualified as all of the stuff that you know about the things that you do. The facts, the figures, the processes, the methods, all the things that give you a lift in your profession. And with this knowledge comes a fair amount of power, and with power comes great responsibility. As with the amassed experiences, how can you share the knowledge that you have to help other people grow and to grow yourself? You want to be known as a giver, someone who can offer a relevant insight or a supportive comment without really asking for anything in return. If you seek to benefit other people with the stuff that you know before looking to gain for yourself, it's a reputation that will grow with you, it will stick, and it will definitely benefit you in the long run. Plus, it's just good to give stuff away. Your expertise is really valuable. One of the greatest things that you can do for someone who wants to learn is to help break down barriers, okay? Give away knowledge willingly so that they can understand that at the end of the day, there's no mystery to what you do. Share what you know. Because if we all share the journey and the skills just a little bit more, everyone benefits. We all learn a little bit more and truly discover the thing which is ours. And, even if the thing you do is so unique and so valuable that you're afraid to share it, share it. Because you are still the one who is doing it, okay? You are doing that thing in your way. And even if you give away the expertise and the knowledge for free, the people who need you will still come, and they'll probably pay you well for it too. I'm a devotee to learning. I love to discover new things and to gain new pieces of knowledge and insight just from what other people are doing. So along with helping other people to learn, you have to stay coachable too. Whatever you're doing, be in the moment or the conversation to learn. There's always an opportunity to clarify what you're thinking about, to gain some valuable insight. You can always draw things from other people's individual experiences just as they can from yours. Plus, you can have a great conversation with anyone if you try. Find some common ground, stay receptive to the cues that they're giving you. Find some points of difference and enjoy growing the thinking together. And just engage with people. It doesn't cost you anything, and you never know where a good conversation might lead. Okay. While it might feel like we've already walked thousands of miles, we are only just beginning, okay? To truly establish yourself and your work practice, whatever you're doing for yourself, you're working for somebody else, to get into your groove, whatever you want to call it, understanding how to set meaningful goals for yourself is paramount to success, okay? There are myriad goal setting formats out there, to-do lists, objective setting tools. They're as far as the eye can see. I'm pretty sure every day on the Apple App Store there is a new to-do list app or a new productivity tool. You can absolutely experiment with these, and you should have a play around with stuff, but find one which fits your way of working, not the other way around. Find one that fits your way of working and go deep with it, okay? Tools, at the end of the day, they are there to be used, but just remember that they're only tools and they are not the cornerstone to your success. What's really, really important here is learning what works for you. Learn your way of working. Learn your way of setting goals that not only mean something but will actually inspire you to take action. It's taken me a long time to get to that point where I've got to a method that I like to use every 3 months for setting some big goals and then smaller goals as I go through that. But it's something that works for me and it inspires me to take action. Think about where you're coming from and where you want to go. What's going on in your world right now that's going to influence your thinking, maybe steer you on your journey and give you some resources to tap into when the going gets really tough, because at some point it's gonna. What might your starting point lead you to? Also, what is the bigger picture? What shape does winning take when you think about a future state for you or for your business or for your role in the company you're working in? What does that big picture look like? I can't tell you the right answer here because everything that you do needs to be personal to you, okay? Always think about what you want to achieve, why you want to achieve it, and only then start to think about how you could approach it. So you have a what, you have a why, and then you have the how. While you're, sharing all your knowledge and insights, you're learning stuff, you're setting goals, you are likely to experience change. It might be in your routines or your priorities. It might be changing yourself. It's really important to be responsive to change. Stay adaptable. While it might be kind of hard to stomach that some days when all you want to do is sit down, have your morning coffee and a quiet start to the day, different personality types respond in different ways to change. Respecting change as both a possibility and as something which is kind of a necessity is the first step to defining your path and going your own way. I want to close out this conversation by saying that whatever you're looking to do in your life or in your career, you are good enough. Sometimes we feel totally out of our depth, we feel unable to cope, or rationally approach a challenge that crosses our path. This is totally normal because we're only human beings, we're flawed. It's normal. Sometimes we might feel a shadow of our former selves or maybe outshined by someone else. Imposter syndrome or this kind of feeling of inadequacy, it's a real crisis. It is a real thing. It can strike at any point to anybody. These feelings will pass, but it might feel pretty abrasive while you're stuck in the thick of it. Author Denise Jacobs, she's a creativity advocate. I really love everything that she does. She's got a book called Banish Your Inner Critic, which is very, very excellent, and I recommend you all go and buy a copy if you don't already have it. There's a quote from that book that I keep coming back to, and it is, "Staying true to ourselves no matter what is key." So remember that you are good enough. You don't need to feel inadequate or overshadowed by someone else, because you're not going to compare yourself to anyone else. You aren't going to doubt your skills or your desire to do great things. You're going to stay true to yourself. So starting today, I want you to think about the following things. Build upon all of your experience, expertise, and skills that you have to be the best, most unique you. Okay? Be persistent and show up. There's a big culture of hustle and showing up all the time to be super successful. You don't always have to be going 110% and hustling from dusk till dawn, but you do need to show up. No matter how hard it might feel, do the next right thing for you, one step at a time. Be purposeful by taking care of your body and your mind, by doing great things with the knowledge that you have and the knowledge that you don't yet know that you want, by setting goals, by giving yourself direction. Everybody is different, which is why we need to take the time to find what makes ourselves tick. Find out what we stand for, what we do in the way that nobody else does. We have to go our own way.
Fantastic.
Right.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching.
I'm frantically watching the chat. It's there's a lot of questions, well, a lot of back and forth, a lot of discussion happening. Again, thanks so much, Tom, for putting that talk together. Definite takeaways for a lot of people, from what I can see from the chat. Definitely for me. Remote versus office is always the big debate that happens amongst a lot of people. So it's always fascinating to hear what we can do, both from a physical standpoint, but also from a mental standpoint. And I guess now more than ever, mental well-being is it should be a given. For every job anybody takes, any work that anybody does, it should be at the forefront, right?
100%.
So we've got a couple of questions, Tom. We've got a couple of questions on the Q&A. Yep. I've got a couple of questions, and I think James has one or two. There's two on the Q&A. If you want to,
I can see them. I can see them here.
Awesome.
All right. One of them, this first one, is from my good friend Jeroen from the Netherlands. Hello, mate. Thank you very much for coming and joining us this evening. Can I give a personal example of a goal that I've set that kind of helped me pivot or change, and why that specific goal? Yes, I can, and I will gladly share that with you. I'm actually going to refer to my little whiteboard thing here, because I've got my goals for the last 3 months. One of them was around launching the coaching proposition fully. Another one was around clearly defining what I do as a professional, which is just too big to take on in 3 months. And the last one was all about my social media presence. So I'm going to have a look at this one for a second. My social media presence, the goal that I set was to establish a kind of a cadence and a direction for showing up online. Because, we've all got Twitter, we've all got Instagram, we've all got the TikToks and Snapchats. Oh God, I sound so freaking old. Instagram and Twitter were my weapons of choice, and I wanted to kind of build some momentum and some presence and be kind of really purposeful with that. But I have to say, the more I did it, the less I wanted to do it. It turned out that kind of being part of that the Insta community of knowledge sharers and doing it the Instagram way, it kind of didn't work for me in the end. So I still wanted to show up. So I actually took to writing. I've got a blog on my website, tomjepsoncreative.com/blog. And I try to show up there at least twice a week with something that I'm thinking about. Because that kind of, I still wanted to do, like, achieve that goal that I'd set myself of showing up online, sharing things that were meaningful to me, but kind of having experienced and experimented with the tools, it didn't feel kind of true to what I wanted to give back. And honestly, the amount of effort it takes to put together these flipping carousel things and video posts and editing all the stuff down, you know, I couldn't motivate myself to do that. So I went to writing, and I write. Whether it's good or not, doesn't matter. Again, you show up. One of my friends said to me, "Why are you sitting on that? Why haven't you posted it?" So I just posted it. If it sucks, it sucks. Who cares? It's only out on the internet, you know, for everyone to see. So yeah, social media, using it caused me to pivot on the goal itself, away from actual social media tools and into just writing in my own personal space.
Do you find with writing, there's a lot, do you find it easier to write rather than trying to focus a bit of content for a particular social media platform?
Yes and no. So yes and no. I don't find it particularly easy to write until I'm actually doing it. Because again, it's the showing up thing. But I found that, you know, the more I get away from doing work and the more I go outside and the more I kind of just stop staring at a screen, ideas and things will come. And because I write kind of how I present, which is a little bit verbose, with, you know, words and silly quips and things, that just feels more comfortable to me. I have to edit, but yeah. You know, I think condensing all that information down to those 10 Instagram slides, you know, more power to anyone who can do that and do it in such a good way that they get 10,000 likes on a post. Because if you know, I'm aware of the algorithm kind of driving a lot of that. So I don't want to sound too cynical towards it, because I mean, goddamn, some of the content I've taken from that platform has actually helped me directly with the way that I work today.
Yeah.
But for me, I think maybe it's an age thing, maybe it's my own personal cultures. I don't know. It's just not my platform.
Yeah, it's a whole separate industry, isn't it? You've got professionals who are experts in that area.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Awesome. And the second one, Tom, we've got from anonymous attendee. Do you want to read it out?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The question, it says, personally, I struggle with the idea of leaving full-time employment and working for myself because of the security an employer gives. How do you deal with the balance of being the entire business and looking after yourself in the process? That's a damn good question. So, I mean, the leaving employment thing, I'll kind of just tackle that bit first. That is different for absolutely everybody. That is absolutely different for everybody. For me, it was the only option. And I think just because of who I am, and again, as I say, because of the relationship I have with work, I had to do things for myself. Yes, employers do give security, but what are you giving away for that security of employment? Let's plant that seed for a second. The balance of being the entire business and looking after yourself in the process, again, long road, a very long road. I'm still not very good at it a lot of the time. My family will tell you that sometimes I'm just kind of always on, always going. But I think that, again, the more you do and the more you kind of start to learn what works for you and what people take from you, like paying clients, people still pay me money to do UX design for them. And I am infinitely grateful to them every day that I show up to do work. Um, and I think acknowledging kind of that stuff that you do and you can find the things you do well helps you balance it out and allowing you to switch off. Because, I mean, I don't do all the business stuff for myself. I pay an accountant to do the account stuff because he's the expert at that, you know. And there is, you know, some other bits of admin that, you know, I'm happy to say, you know, someone else can take those.
Yeah.
And I think this is something that, again, we need to acknowledge that we cannot be the expert in everything. So you have to find the help you need to balance yourself out.
Yep.
But as I say, it's a long road. You just have to, unfortunately, you do just have to kind of start and learn your own rhythms. And hopefully before you start to feel the real burnout, just, you know, take a break.
Yeah, that's nice. I've got a couple of questions, Tom, if that's okay.
You go for it, my friend.
While the fantastic video you were presenting was going down, we put a couple of questions onto the chat channel where we were exploring has creativity had a positive or negative impact while being in lockdown? Some initial responses. Some of them have been negative in the sense more screen time from, I think Lex mentioned that, Lex Lofthouse. But a couple of other opinions have been around, it's actually expanded reach in attending events like these.
Yeah.
Meeting people beyond the country, beyond disciplines. What are your thoughts on lockdown and creativity?
It's an interesting one. I mean, for me personally, it has been a wild ride over the last, since, I don't know what, February or whatever it's been, since we all started to get kind of away from the office. I haven't been in an office for 18 months. In terms of network and meeting new people, I have talked to more people around the globe in the last 6 months than I have done in the last 15 years of work. I've met more people than I have done in the last 15 years of work. The diversity, the, you know, the skill sets, the cultural difference, the language differences. You know, I'm just watching the chat. Yaron is one of my great friends who I have met online through an event which we both attended, run by someone in the States. And, you know, it's one of those things. I think for networking, I think if you throw yourself into it in the right way, I think it's been fantastic.
Yeah.
We all talked about getting a bit zoomed out after the first couple of months. Oh, for real. I think there was a period, I think maybe kind of like May time, when I was just like, you know what, no meetings, no Zoom calls, no nothing. I can't do it anymore. But it started to come back, so it's all right.
Yeah.
In terms of creativity and work, for the individual, personally, I think it's been very good, because, you know, we get to sit in our own spaces. We get in our little comfy Harry Potter under the stairs cupboards, and, you know, we can begin to work on our own terms. For employers who are employing people who are paid to do creative work, I think it's probably been really bloody hard, because you've not got bums on seats. You can't see output all the time, and trying to balance that, almost letting people get on with their job and letting people just do the great stuff they need to do, with, like, and also needing them to be answering emails, pinging on Slack, answering the phone, being in Zoom meetings 24/7. You know, I think that side of the creative profession has probably taken a bit of a stiff, swift learning curve.
Yeah.
I'm praying that we businesses, employers, whoever, don't have the we must get back to normal mentality, because I think the way that business has evolved, creativity has evolved, design evolved, networking has evolved, it's in the best place I think it's ever been, from a network perspective, and from you know, just, you know, you're over Leicester way. I'm sat in Nottingham. We're having a chat. We could be
Yeah.
sat, you know, in the same room, but we're not. So I'm hoping that whatever the end result is from all this is a much more open, evolved, deliberate way for people to work and people to be creative on their own terms.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with kind of, in a way, building bridges. Even
Mm.
if they haven't been broken, but it's new bridges to
It is
kind
new
of
bridges.
go over and explore. So it's a fascinating time to enter as a young designer, particularly. They could be learning from the very best from the comfort of their home. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
man.
Whereas before, you would have to pay a lot of money to go to a conference
Yeah.
to see some of the best talent. So fascinating. Just going to go for one more question. I think James Dexter had one question. If you're okay, James, do you want to jump on and just share it with us?
Hello, you all right? Yeah, I'll ask mine. I was going to ask what can people do to sort of try and learn or spot the signs that they're kind of struggling, or know when to take that sort of step away from their work and try and get a bit of a different perspective, I guess.
Oh, it's a very good question. It's a difficult question, James. But no, thank you. I think that is a very, very important question. I mean, when we talk about kind of needing to step away from work, I would hope that a lot of people can, after they've been doing the job for a little while, you know, just talking about jobbing designers, you can always start to feel when your work suffers because you just see your output, you know, you slow down like it's a physical response. You know, your work just slows down. You can't think as fast. You might start getting a bit grumpier with people on the feedback that they give you. When normally, if you're quite a jovial person, you know, and you receive feedback well, that could be a sign that you need to take a step back. I think when we kind of think about how we are as a person at work and how we react and respond just to the general situation, I think it's really important that people start to actually take stock of that. How do you react to the like the messages that are going out at your latest company town hall? How does that make you feel? How does that make you want to do your work? How does that make you want to interact with your team? It almost becomes even less about the work and just about you as a person. So, this feels like a terrible answer because I could just kind of go like going around the houses on it. But
It sounds like a blog article, Tom.
oh
You
mate,
should
just
expand it.
hit the blog. There's a lot of stuff on there about this. I think, to be honest, there's a post on Medium that I wrote at the tail end of last year when I had a full mental breakdown. I don't know why I'm laughing about that. It's nervous laughter. I documented that. So if anyone wants to hit my Medium in December last year, I actually wrote about it in detail, and why it was triggered. And it was actually to do with my response to somebody else's response to something which I had shared online.
Yeah.
And it was to do with work. It was to do with events. And it was to do with community. And I shared an opinion, and the reaction that I got, I wasn't prepared for. And I physically, like, my body did this physical reaction of panic and shock, and I couldn't cope.
Wow.
And I think learning to read the signs in yourself of how you respond, and I say respond, not just react to things, but how you respond to things after you've had a reaction, is probably a very good place to start if you feel that you need to kind of be looking after yourself a little better. But please just talk to somebody first. Just find a mate and say, oh God, this is doing my head in.
There's a couple of questions that have come in quite nicely timed on the Q&A by Mr. Murphy.
Yeah.
If you're listening, Mr. Murphy, like, it's exactly, hopefully along the lines of what you're starting to ask. And hopefully, Tom, I mean, is there a way of is it easily searchable, this article, for us to share?
I'm just, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to see if I'm just going to like internet at the same time as we talk. I'm just going to see if I can pull up the link for you. I'll post it in chat.
Yeah, please do. I think hopefully Mr. Murphy, and I can still see you're here. Fantastic. I'm just conscious on time, and I'm sure this type of discussion is always fascinating to continue, and it impacts everybody, regardless of what industry you're in. I think it is fascinating. I'm sure there'll be more discussions going on. There's a couple more questions on there. Yeah. What we'll do, Tom, offline, I'll ping you over those questions, and what I'll do, if it's okay with the attendees, we can reply back via social media or
for sure. I'll send you the link to the various articles and things as well, because awesome. I don't want it to sound like it's a glorification of anything, but if nothing more, it's just that if you feel like you are under the pump, if everything feels a bit graty or frictiony, or if you're just having a really crap day, just talk to someone. I'm gonna, if anyone wants to talk to me, like, just send me an email. Hell, I'm on the Telegram Messenger thing, so it's like anonymous messaging. Just send me a note. If you want to get on Zoom for 15 minutes, just send me a note.
I'm sure after this you'll have a large following. Do have a chat. Awesome. If it's okay, Tom, we'll just look to wrap things up. Again, thanks for the fantastic talk you shared with us. So just got a couple more slides to kind of conclude, and then hopefully that will be everyone to part ways. Fantastic. So again, in the live settings, there will be another round of applause for our fantastic speaker, Tom. So again, thanks again for pulling that all together. Again, there's going to be more discussions, I'm sure, going forward. While the talk did happen, we did do a prize draw. So James, you've politely told us that Lorinda is our winner. So if you're still on the channel, no, not that one. Where am I can't see my panelist.
I think
is Lorinda still there? Still there. Yeah. If you can hear us, Lorinda, we'll be in touch offline. I will ping you an email to sort out how you can get your hands on the pizza and the fantastic book. Just to wrap up, we've got another round roll call for our fantastic community supporters. So 20i, Site, De Montfort University, Effect Digital, Hurdle, Searchability, Triangle Networks, Untitled, Zybus of CGI, Agency Works, and Bulb Studios and LCB. So again, a big thanks goes out to those supporters. Any of you who are interested in speaking at one of our future events, please do reach out to us. We've got contact details on our website. It's really easy. It is literally createleicester@gmail.com. We've got our next webinar lined up already. It is going to take place on the 15th of October, and it is going to be part of Leicester's Design Season 3. Design Season 3 will be announcing their full program pretty soon with a brand new website. So please do check out all that. And that's it. Thank you and good night. So again, thanks for everyone who did attend. Wishing you all the very best, and hopefully see you at the next one. Fantastic. Thank you.